So please welcome Anna and Steve McQueen.
From Turner Prize-winning artist to Oscar-winning filmmaker is really quite unique. Can you tell us a bit about how it began, and why did you make the move into making feature films from visual arts?
I think it was always an evolution in a way. As a child, always dealing with perspective, always dealing with the frame as a piece of paper, going from a crayon. Then there was art school. I painted, and going from a paintbrush to a camera. So it was this kind of evolution in a way. Dealing with images, finally with moving images. So that for me was the sort of evolution of wanting to sort of look at the world, I suppose. Yeah.
So were you interested in cinema from the start, or was that something that came along later?
I was interested in cinema. always interested in cinema, but I got seriously interested in cinema when I met this girl. She was a very important girlfriend of mine, Anouk, who's a Swiss lady. I went to art school with her, and she was like mad into cinema. And of course, for me, cinema was being, if you're lucky enough to get a girl in the back row, and then, wherever. But with her, I would go with her to study cinema. She knew repertory cinemas. We were very lucky enough to see feature films on its original format, in 35mm, or in England, Britain, around London. Going to these repertory cinemas, we would get the Time Out magazine. Time Out was this magazine with listings of the old films or films you could see, and mark them. And again, often you'd be, slogging this lady, but also then get one eye. Oh, that's kind of interesting. And then you'd be like, oh, then, okay, yeah, we'll do this later. Let's watch the movie. And you would see people fall in love. You would see people eat meals, you see people fight, you see people from all over the world, from all different places in the world, from South Korea to Germany to France to Italy to again Brazil. You see the world through cinema, and that was really amazing. Yeah, it was great. It was to be in love and to discover cinema was just one of the most amazing things to be as in say 19-year-olds. Okay, you're having sex all the time and you're watching films and you're young and you can run for days, you can have sex for hours and watch movies. So it was really kind of like I was in the fountain of I was being replenished by culture and love. It was great.
So you've worked across all these various formats, from the installations and galleries to big budget feature films. How does your creative process vary? When you come up with, when you develop ideas, are there sort of the same process? Or
literally, I have no idea. You can never follow me, or I could never put footprints in the sand and follow myself. I don't know how I do it. As in, there's never the same thing happens twice. It's kind of weird. All there is, like I say, is there's a want and there's a will. And things come accordingly to that. I don't know, there's no pattern.
Okay, we can talk a bit more about that when it comes to Blitz. Because with Blitz, you've made, once again, I think, a film that doesn't resemble any of your previous work when it comes to genre. Blitz is, at least I think, a very different World War II film. It's set in multicultural London, and women, who were like the backbone of society at the time and never portrayed as that, are playing a significant part in this film. So how much of a driver was that different backdrop to this World War II story when you came up with it and when you started developing it? Was that very important, or where did you start?
Well, just to be honest with you, it was all discovery, because again, how I delved into the world of Second World War was through a photograph of this small black child, this boy, on a platform ready to be evacuated. as in most cities in London, excuse me, most cities in the UK, every child was evacuated. So you have millions of children evacuated to the countryside. And I came across this image, and through that image I wanted to know, I understood that would be my into the war. I did a war artist in 2003, and I went to Iraq, and again, most of us have never experienced war. It's very abstract to us, so somehow I wanted to bring war home from that experience. And when I saw that kid, that photograph, when I did my research, it was almost shallow mining to find out these things. I really wanted to make a movie about people who had to deal with the consequences of war. Not the Churchills or the Eisenhowers or the Trumans. It was about people who had to deal with the cesspool that was remaining after people had made decisions on war. And through that, I discovered all this stuff. So I wasn't trying to sort of, as my son would say, he'd be embarrassed me saying flex. I was just finding things which were there. I mean, women were the backbone emotionally and physically of the country. I mean, looking after elderly, as I said before, looking after elderly parents, evacuating their children, working in ammunition factories, working in aircraft hangars, shoring up, the front at home to send ammunition to the front. And also, again, when the men came back dealing with post-distress disorder, they were there to hold shit together. But also these women had to come together in a way where they were not domestic workers anymore. They found their purpose, because of war, and they never wanted to go back. That's why they voted Churchill out the second the war was over. And so usually in a war movie, these women are, forgive me for being bold and saying they're usually mattresses or hysterical women or the girlfriend or the wife or handing someone a cup of tea. But in actuality, this is what they were doing. But for some reason, that it was a choice why they portrayed women like the way they did. It was a choice. And again, just like minorities or, the sort of, as my historical advisor, Josh Levine said, who wrote the book, The Secret History of the Blitz, London was cosmopolitan, but for some reason people didn't choose to show it that way. I don't know.
So thank you for doing that. How do you approach the responsibility of portraying the real events? I mean, while you want to maintain your artistic vision, I come from television. I've worked a lot with that. When you work on stories that has happened? How do you keep your artistic vision and still?
That's the first and foremost thing, really. I mean, the historical sort of research and the sort of taking things from historical narratives as such are there to help the story. That's it. I mean, whatever, if it doesn't help the story, it's not helping the story. It has to help the narrative. I'm not interested in ticking boxes. I'm not interested. The foundation is George and Rita. And how their love and how their connection are the foundations of the movie. So therefore, once you've got that, then you can go off and do whatever you want. But that is the main focus of the picture.
Right. But I think I read somewhere that you said with 12 Years a Slave that this is a film that should have been made already. And I think you said that too about the Small Axe series. This should have been made like 25, 35 years ago. Is that how you revisit the historical period? Sort of, do you want to make films that should have been already made?
Well, no, I don't want to, but I find that I have to. And it's exciting. It's exciting because when you go into that, delve into the Second World War, and you find all these things. There was this three, in central London, this place called Seven Dials. There were 3 black clubs off of Seven Dials in the 30s. There was this going on. So when you find out these things, it's like, the Café de Paris, this place where people are living the life of Riley, where other people are living off rations, people are serving oysters, or there's a sort of people living the life of Riley, where other people are sort of scraping things together to survive. It's an amazing tapestry of an environment. I love the idea of bringing to the big screen because it's like science fiction. Yeah. No one's ever seen this before. If you want to make another movie about men shooting each other in the field in fucking Germany, we'll go a fucking head, not me.
let's talk a little bit about small acts. This marked a shift in sort of format for you. So what inspired you to do, for this approach, and did it affect your storytelling, making television? I know this.
Small acts. I loved it.
Do you consider it, I called it the anthology series?
Yes.
Do you consider it television, TV series at all?
They're 5 films. When I was growing up in England, we used to have a thing called Play for the Day, and they used to shoot it on 16mm, and we had great filmmakers making these, because that's how, in UK, how we made feature films, or auteurs, TV movies, they shot it on 16mm, so it was incredible that you had these great filmmakers who used the format to make their movies. So for me, it was jumping into that, things that from my child that I remembered. But these are 5 feature films that happen to be projected on projectors. Arrived on TV, and before they were on TV, there were 2 of them were going to be in Cannes of that year. But unfortunately, with COVID, it didn't happen. They're still on the list. They would have been in Cannes. So I was great. I was happy in a way that I didn't. I'm going to say that yes. It was very strange in a kind of interesting way, because I've been very fortunate enough to, very, very fortunate enough to have premieres of my films in Cannes and Venice and where have you, wherever, Seroy and Toronto, all that kind of stuff. But when we premiered Small Acts on TV, OMG, the response was extraordinary. Because I think what happened with that, interestingly enough, when you are invited, in a way, that's what you are. You're invited to people's homes. You switch on, and we're invited to your home. This is where this is your private space, and it's kind of beautiful that people can receive you in their homes, and it's a different kind of response. And I was very touched about it, and because they were filmed, they were not TV, because you can see them, they're not TV, but because they were in people's homes, people's responses were very personal, and I love that. Again, it's a strange thing. TV film, strange.
I've seen that happen with feature film directors coming in to do television, as I worked as a commissioner for a couple of years, and there's a different thing with the audience, because the audience is also so big when something's been on television. But now you've worked in both traditional cinema and you worked with streaming formats. How do you see the shifting media landscape? How does it impact the future of filmmaking? Particularly for stories that challenge the mainstream narrative. Small question.
Well, look, I've been offered some crazy stuff,
Yeah, I can imagine.
and it's like, I'm not interested in. Sequels and stuff like that, or a franchise, or all of those things, or again, I find it very difficult, because I do think people want to still be surprised. I think you guys still want to be surprised. I think you guys still want to be awed, and I think people are want to be given opportunity to discover things. I think this format is the best thing to discover things, especially when you're in an audience. There's the oohs and the ahs and the shudders and stuff like that. Can you imagine being on a roller coaster ride on your own? Could you imagine? Half of the thrill is that you're with other people, and you're hearing the screams, that kid, it's fantastic. And also, could you imagine? I was thinking about someone like Billy Wilder. Him editing a movie, he's editing a movie as far as a comedy through people laughing in the audience. Watching a comedy on your own at home is like, I'm not saying it's not funny, but it's much more entertaining when you're in the audience, because it kind of allows you to sort of participate. I'm going on a bit because I'm in love with this format, but I don't know. I was saying to you before, is this opera? Is this? We want.
Are you worried about cinema?
Well, it's got to be hip hop, hasn't it? It's got to be rock and roll. It has to be edgy. Again, how do you get younger people, and how do you get people of interest to come to the cinema? If it's Dune 2, I mean, no disrespect, but it's sort of no disrespect at all. But it's just like it's kind of haven't we seen that movie before? Can we have something original? It's just you want something which is going to excite people, which is original. I think, at least, I hope so. And even a movie that cost $10 million or something could do something of interest. I mean, it's important. It's important for the survival cinema. It's important for our own mental stimulation to see the same movie 3 or 4 or 5 times. I mean, come on.
Right, what time is it? Okay, you've spoken...
10 more minutes, why not?
10 more minutes. That's cool. Maybe some questions. We've got some questions from the audience, maybe. You've spoken about growing up in West London, in the working class family of Caribbean descent. Your work constantly engaged with issues of race and power, and historical injustice. Even though it's your choice, do you ever feel constrained about expectations to be a voice for these themes?
I know, because I find it's exciting to talk about. It's exciting. No one's got a gun to my head to talk about anything. It's just they're great dynamic stories. I mean, they're great narratives. They're just out. Open the door, walk around, you'll find great dynamic narratives. So that's all. No, not at all. No.
Has it been a problem for you wanting to tell these stories?
No,
are you challenged in any sort of? I mean, now you're very established, but I mean, you showed your first film was Hunger. That was something different, but it was really in the same sort of field.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, your first feature film was about the IRA hunger strike. I wanted to go for it. I mean, yeah, I thought when I made Hunger, I've said this before. I wanted to go out. I thought I'd go out with 2 guns blazing. I thought it could be my first film and my last film, but so be it. I'm going to go out with 2 guns fucking blazing. I'll take some of you guys with me. Fuck them. And that was it. And then, okay, that was success. And then that's okay, I'm going to do this fucking thing. I do Shame. And that was just, there's about slavery. Like, oh shit. Like, all these movies I do, which is sort of like, oh, no one's going to watch this, they want to watch it. So, again, it just told you people's appetite. And also, but it's also about storytelling, how you tell a story. I mean, there's 2 people in a pub telling the same story. Someone bores you to tears, like, oh, fucking hell, fucking shut up. Another one's got you on the edge of your chair. So there's a skill, there's a certain craft, there's a way of telling a story which is very exciting to me. Again, and
but
also...
Was it, I mean, if we go back to the first question, was it the storytelling that, made you want to go into making feature films, or was it the sort of the visual part of making films? Both. I mean,
I don't think you can do it. I don't think visuals is storytelling, how you tell a story. Where it's just like George, in Blitz, and then you cut from him on the station and his mother looking, and you cut to the feet, his naked feet under a bed. We've already established that there was a suitcase under the bed. Now we got naked feet dangling.
Yeah.
And then you cut to him, and then his mother comes in the feet, and the suitcase is on the bed. He's going away. She puts his vest on, his shirt on. Again, there's a poetry. There's a sort of there's amalgamation of images which sort of And again, what's beautiful about visual storytelling is that people are so highly intelligent visually that they sense things, they see things with their nose and they see with their eyes and their ears. It's to sort of again, it's just the best. It's just the best. It's just the best sort of. When it's good, it's fucking good, isn't it? I mean, it's really,
I agree.
And you can see that movie. And the great thing about movies, I feel, is that you see something, but you take it home with you. It's about the memory of it. It's like living with a painting or an artwork. It's what you take from the artwork. Because you can look at the artwork all day, but you hurt your eyes after a while. So stop. But it's what you take from the artwork and what you bring home with you, which gives you your relationship with that artwork.
That's actually something I wrote down from listening to you the other day when you talked about at the Museum of Modern Art, when you said when it's good, it's what you take with you, not when you you were talking about the painting or watching something, and then the things you take with you is what's sort of the meaning of it all.
I mean, I remember taking Zero de Conduite from Jean Godard, no, Jean Godard, excuse me, John Vigo, Zero de Conduite, and you take things with you from that, and then I see these kids on the train put their hands in the air, and the last image of Jean Vigo's on the kids, these kids, you know, and it's about that liberation of, away from institutions.
Sorry, it's super interesting. Loving it. I have a question. I don't know if you want to answer to it, but it's Blitz is your first feature film without Sean Bobbitt, is it?
No, I did Small Acts without Sean.
Small Acts, yeah, all right, okay. So is there a reason about it?
I think it was really, my relationship with Sean was fantastic. It was great, but also sometimes you have to change things up. I mean, what happens? It also was my first film without Joe Walker as the editor.
Yeah.
I think you have to sometimes change things up. Somehow, sometimes you get too comfortable. You predict certain things, and again, it was a great band. But then through Sean and even Michael, through Sean, through Michael and Michael Fassbender, and through Joe Walker, you understand why bands break up, because after a while things do get a bit much after a while. Why don't they stay together? Well, guess what? They can't stay together because the things are too much. Maybe you come back, but maybe it's not the right thing. You need to sort of to push through. You need to sort of do other things and do them differently. This is how it is. And I worked with Xavier on Small Acts, who was an amazing DP. One of the best handheld.
I can't remember who shot Small Acts.
God, I can't remember.
You can't remember.
Xavier.
But he was extraordinary.
Yeah, extraordinary.
Yeah, it was amazing. Okay, is there going to be any questions from the audience when we're finished? Yes, there is. So, okay, I'm gonna. Someone said you've got 20 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap up for questions. Yeah, we're already done. Finally, I must say my favourite filmmakers takes me places where I've never been, or let me visit worlds that are out of my reach. And I'd like to thank you for being one of those filmmakers. Truly amazing. Congratulations on the Rolf Schock Award. And best of luck with all your upcoming projects.
Good.
Is someone helping us, going to help us hand out the mics? Because I think there's lots of hands, and it would be lovely if the audience could...
Do you want me to stand up, or...? Sorry, it's probably easier if I stand up. My question's a twofer, actually. Regarding Blitz...
You've got to do one question because someone else wants it. Sorry.
No, it's a twofer.
Oh God, there we go.
So, what's the most meaningful sequence that you filmed in Blitz, and what was the sequence that was the most fun to film?
Well, I don't mean I'm meaningful. I don't know. I mean, again, I just love. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, I love when Saoirse and Elliot on the bed playing together. That's beautiful. I just think that love and that sort of that was all improvised, which I love very much. Fun to shoot. Lots of things. I mean, again, it's different things at different times. Different things at different times. I mean, I could say one thing, but you see the Café de Paris, you could say the nightclub, you could say the flooding, you could say the spitting serpent of the fire hoses. There's so many things. The aftermath of the Café de Paris with the dead people. We had a great time. We had a great time shooting. We had a great time.
I have one question I have to ask you, and is there it's a bit of Dickens into the story. Is that something you thought about before, or is that something that sort of the critics has picked up on?
No, because it's about criminality and necessity and poverty. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about what happened. Dickens is about Oliver Twist. It's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy. We're talking about George Hemingway, a black kid who, when you look at him, when other people look at him, they'll think very differently. How George sees an apple is very different than how Oliver Twist sees an apple. So it's got nothing to do with it at all. But again, it's sort of, that's what we're talking about, the differences, and they're radical.
Wonderfully cast, those Dickensonian characters.
Yeah, well, that's Stephen Graham and yeah.
Fantastic. Over there. There's actually two over there.
Hi, so what do you feel like has been the most difficult thing to communicate to an actor, or difficult things to communicate to an actor about your vision?
I think I bypassed that because I work with very, very good actors. And usually they're very sensitive and very sort of, they're agile. They understand, they're humans. Yeah.
Hi, my name is TJ. I'm a filmmaker from Sweden, but I live in London as well. I would say that it feels like in this film, a lot of the characters, there was like seeing like hardship, and they decided to turn away, look the other way around. And like now when I look in the world, like it feels like we are doing the same thing. Like when there's war in other countries, we kind of like look the other way around because we can't do that much. And I was also like rewatching 12 Years a Slave this week, and I was thinking about how Solomon, the main character in that film, when he was seeing like people, like other black people going through hardship, he was like looking the other way around. So I feel like, is there a theme there of like us humans, like all humans, like seeing hardship and deciding to turn the other cheek around because we can't do anything, we don't want to like jeopardize our freedom. Because if I kind of feel like a lot of characters in this film did the same thing, if it makes sense.
Can I just say no and yes to that question? Sorry. I think you've answered everything, and you've given me no space to say anything, so yes and no.
Thank you. Hi. So first of all, I just want to say that your son's right, this movie was a flex. But then I also have a question about, obviously George goes through some really horrific, traumatic things. And what was it like, or how did you direct the child actors that went through all of these terrible things while still kind of protecting them as kind of people, like in their private, as private people?
And why did you choose a child to tell the story through his eyes? That's my question.
Okay, so what was important for me, first of all, was to have a blank sheet, because somehow I wanted, at what point do we compromise as adults? At what point do we see what we pretend not to see? At what point do we tend not to hear? With children, it's right and wrong, good or bad. That's it. It's simple. It's very direct. And somehow I thought, looking through a child's eyes at war, one could sort of retune our gaze. It's like with my own daughter when she was small. She would say, it's autumn now, and there'd be a leaf. And I go, Daddy, there's a leaf. Yeah, there's a leaf. I said, oh, it's a leaf. It's a leaf. You would read, wow, you see a leaf for the first time. And therefore, what I wanted through the gaze of us, or the audience looking through George's eyes, what he sort of encounters on his journey, was to sort of feel what he would be feeling, and starting from that point of a child's perspective, to get us back into a situation where we can see things again for what they actually really are, then rather than what we've learned them to be. We've been numb to certain things. Again, just like when I talked about war, and how war for us is abstract. Now George, Elliot Hofferman, who plays George, he, again, you write the script, okay, yeah, oh God, how am I going to find a child to play this? And we had we threw on that broad in mind, we did an audition. There's a casting director called Nina Gold, who we did this audition, we put an audition out. And luckily, there was a lot of people who responded, and one of the people was Elliot Hofferman. And when I saw his audition tape, he was like, oh God, he looked like he was pissed off. He looked like he didn't want to fucking be there. And I was like, but his face was so sort of, his face was so sort of intriguing, and it was so sort of engaging that you just kept on looking at him, and you wanted to see what he was thinking, or you thought he knew what he was thinking, or what he was doing, and he was just magnetizing. So he was like a Valentino, he was like a Buster Keaton. You wanted to be with him. So I thought, yes, and again, with an actor that he never acted before at all, ever. The only thing he did was Aladdin at school. So he came in and he was just, yes, for him, certain things were real. So we had to be very careful how to sort of deal with that emotion. And what was very good was that Saoirse Ronan, who plays his mother in the picture, Rita, she came into acting when she was 9 years old. So therefore, she took him under her wing. So there was that care was reciprocated through a real affection. So what you saw on screen was a real bond. So it was beautiful. So that was the thing that I was more nervous about, more concerned about than anything in the film. Floods and fucking all that kind of bullshit. You need to reshoot it. But that, if you don't have that connection, if you don't have that love, if you don't have that foundation to build your film on, whether you have nothing. And I was just grateful that Saoirse and Elliot had this connection, a real beautiful, gorgeous connection.
Right. We are running out of time. There's time. I think there's. We're out of time. We're out of time. Okay.
But sorry. I think. Sorry. Thank you for an absolutely wonderful film and great questions and fantastic answers. But I feel like, having seen the movie we saw now, to not mention Gaza, feels a little bit strange. I mean, it's like a blitzkrieg.
So, let's...
Wait, let the guy talk.
I mean, come on, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, thinking about the situation in Gaza.
Well, I think that's on all our minds, sir. I don't think it's not about just mentioning Gaza. It's about, of course, it's all our minds. This is war. This is Somalia. This is Ukraine.
Yeah.
This is all of these things. So you're absolutely right, and we're all thinking that. I can't think that no one is not watching that and thinking about that. I hope not, anyway. So you're absolutely right, but I imagine everybody's thinking that, and I'm just grateful that I can make a movie about 1940 that'd be about. Well, I'm not grateful at all. In fact, it's unfortunate, but that we can have a platform for these kind of discussions about something that happened 80 years ago, but unfortunately still going on now. So yeah, you're absolutely right, but everybody's thinking that. I want to go to the bathroom.
Okay, I'm going to say thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
One last thing, and all filmmakers out there, all artists, whatever endeavor, go out there with two guns blazing, right? Just go out there and take them out, Just go.
We proudly present the Stockholm Visionary Award 2024 to Sir Steve McQueen.
It's such a fucking heavy award. It's ridiculous. Why do you do this? It's like, oh, it's an award, it's got to be heavy. Alright, good, but it's going to break the table. Honestly, talk about Trojan horse, bloody hell. Thank you again. I don't want to go on, and you've heard me talk a lot today, but it's about you. You make the difference. We make the difference. I'm very grateful that I've been able to do what I do. I'm blessed. And I know I'm privileged to do what I do, and I'm indebted to you, the audience, but also you as individuals, as artists out there of all types and all sort of, I don't know, ventures, architecture, film, art, painting, dancers, writers, whatever you do out there, whatever you do, whatever or not, it's very important that you do things now. It's pressing because we are in so dark times right now. We need you. And listen to me, we need you to do your best. We need you to not, again, when things get hard, to continue. I wanted to stop so many times when I've done something because I thought, oh my God, what am I doing here? I remember 12 years like, what the fuck am I doing here? But if I stopped, what would have happened? I would have made the movie. So maybe people are working on something now, maybe things are happening to you now, or when you're going to something, please remember my words to continue, because right now we need you as artists right now, more than ever in these dark times, so please continue and just go for it. And like I said, fucking two guns blazing, take them out.